Welcome back to The Explainer, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because, well, we are unpacking something truly profound. We're going to be looking at Pope Francis's landmark document, Evangelii Gaudium, or The Joy of the Gospel. And our goal today, we're going to completely unpack his radical vision for modern evangelization. And I use the word radical really intentionally here because this isn't just some high-level academic theological text. It is a direct, unavoidable challenge to our daily habits, our comfort zones, and honestly, how we interact with the world right outside our front doors. Okay, let's dive into this by clearly defining our core term. Evangelization is, first and foremost, the act of spreading the gospel by preaching to those who do not know Jesus Christ. Simple enough, right? But within the framework of this specific document, you have to understand that this isn't just an abstract idea or some ancient historical practice. It's framed as an urgent, active challenge to get moving. To unpack all of this, we're going to follow a really straightforward four-part roadmap today. First, we'll look at the core of evangelization. Second, why evangelize? Third, a church for the poor. And finally, going out into the streets. This structure is going to help us clearly grasp the what, why, who, and how of this powerful document. All right, kicking things off with part one, the core of evangelization and why it's considered the greatest challenge. So Pope Francis actually builds right upon the teachings of his predecessor, Pope John Paul II. And John Paul II stated that today, missionary activity still represents the greatest challenge for the church, and the missionary task must remain foremost. Essentially, what this means is that reaching out to those who are far from Christ isn't just, a side project. It's not a weekend committee you sign up for. It has to be the very first task of the church. And here's the kicker. Even if people seem completely disinterested or even hostile to the message, the push to reach out cannot be lessened. So why is this the greatest challenge? Why is it literally so hard to reach out to people who might not even want to listen? I mean, think about your own daily routine for a second. It's just so much easier to stay in our bubbles, isn't it? To bridge the gap between this core definition and our actual everyday lives, we really have to dig into the deep motivations driving it.
Which brings us right into part two, why evangelize? The motivation of love.
Now, what's really interesting about this idea is a profound question posed in the text. What kind of love would not feel the need to speak of the beloved, to point him out, to make him known? I love this because it completely humanizes the concept. The primary reason for spreading the gospel is simply the love of Jesus we've received. It's a natural overflow. Think about it. When you experience something absolutely amazing, like a phenomenal movie, a life-saving medical treatment, or a really profound love, what do? You talk about it. You literally can't help it. Sharing the gospel is framed here as the exact same thing, a natural reaction to experiencing salvation. The text then goes on to explicitly state that the ability to share salvation is the greatest and most precious gift you can possibly give to others. So the core reason for reaching out isn't guilt. It's definitely not about checking a religious box or fulfilling some kind of quota. It's entirely driven by the desire to share the most loving, life-changing gift imaginable. It's the ultimate act of generosity. Okay, moving on to part three, a church for the poor, and exactly who we need to be reaching first. The text gives us a crystal clear indication of who to prioritize, and wow, is it a stark contrast to how the world normally works. We aren't told to go network with our wealthy neighbors. We are explicitly called to go to the poor, the sick, the despised, the overlooked, and this is absolutely key, those who cannot repay you. Pope Francis is challenging us to prioritize the totally marginalized. In our real daily lives, that means intentionally looking past the influential people who can help us get ahead and turning our attention to the folks that society actively ignores. And this brilliantly illustrates the theology behind why the church takes this stance. Look at the timeline of Christ's life. Salvation comes to us from a lowly maiden. The Savior is literally born in a manger surrounded by animals. When he's presented at the temple, his family offers 2 turtle doves, which was the specific offering designated for people who couldn't afford a lamb. This continuous, unbreakable thread of poverty is exactly why, in the modern day, the church maintains a special priority known as the option for the poor. Which leads us to one of the most famous, powerful desires Pope Francis expresses in the entire text. This is why I want a church which is poor and for the poor. It's a definitive, uncompromising statement that acts as the ultimate standard for Christian charity. The church has to reflect its founder. All right, finally, part 4, going out into the streets. This is where we apply the vision to our daily lives.
Pope Francis uses some incredibly vivid, almost jarring imagery here to draw a sharp contrast. On one side, you have a church that is bruised, hurting, and dirty because it has been out working on the streets. On the other side, you have a church that is unhealthy, confined, and basically suffocating from clinging to its own security. He is saying he vastly prefers the messy, dirty reality of active outreach over a safe, stagnant isolation. Basically, if we aren't getting a little bit dirty in our daily lives trying to help others, we're missing the mark completely.
Because, let's be real, there are massive dangers to staying safely inside. The document warns us about remaining shut up within our comfortable structures. It warns us against relying on rigid rules that just turn us into harsh judges of other people rather than loving missionaries. And it warns against settling into cozy habits that just give us a false sense of security. I actually want to challenge you right now. Examine your own life. How easy is it for us to hide behind our daily routines, our nice homes, and our packed schedules, instead of doing the really hard, messy work of local outreach?
So the crucial point is this. We simply cannot afford to stay inside. Evangelii Gaudium brings this high-level theology right down to our literal doorsteps. The text reminds us that while we are so busy feeling safe and secure within our structures, at our door, people are starving. And he doesn't just mean metaphorically. It's a call for concrete, local, immediate outreach. It means actually noticing the unhoused person on your daily commute, or the struggling family in your own neighborhood, or even just the incredibly lonely neighbor living right next door.
And the response to seeing that suffering? It's a direct command from Jesus, highlighted right in the text. Give them something to eat. True evangelization requires immediate, practical action. It's not just about preaching pretty words at people. It's about stepping out to tangibly help those right in front of us. In daily life, that means volunteering at the local food bank, advocating for the marginalized at city council meetings, and literally providing sustenance to people who need it right now. Which leaves every single one of us with a really tough decision. Will you stay confined in your false sense of security, or are you willing to get a little bruised and dirty on the streets to actually share this love? Pope Francis's vision in Evangelii Gaudium is a massive, uncomfortable challenge to our everyday routines. It demands that we look outward. So as you go about the rest of your day-to-day, I really hope you'll take a hard look at your own habits. Where can you step out? Where can you afford to get a little bruised for the sake of love? Think about it, and let's keep learning together.